Hello and welcome to the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion Introductory webinar. I think we've got a few people probably still signing in. Well, I'll start by introducing, or Randy, do you want to start by introducing yourself, or Josh?
Well, I'll be happy to, and get us going here. Hello, everybody. Great. My name is Randall Rowlinson. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm president of LBL Strategies, and I want to welcome you to this webinar. Our partner in this is the Baldrige Foundation, and Josh Ratchett is the head of the Institute for Performance Excellence at the Baldrige Foundation, and I want to welcome you, Josh.
Thank you, Randall. I appreciate it. As Randall had mentioned, my name is Josh Ratchett, and I am the Vice President of National Programs and Development over here at the Baldrige Foundation, and specifically helped oversee our Institute for Performance Excellence operations. And LBL Strategies works directly with us at the delivery of this Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion certification, which we are very excited about. And so I'm glad everyone is able to attend today. And I'll be here, of course, to answer any questions that you have, and I'm certainly offline as well. But I look forward to the presentation.
Thank you, Josh. My name is Tamara Fields Parsons, and I am going to be sharing some of the material along with my colleague Randall Rawlinson today for the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion Certification Program. I am a longtime Baldrige examiner. I recognize a few names of people in the group today, and have also served as an examiner and judge and trainer for some of our brother, sister, and cousin Baldrige programs. So happy to be able to meet everyone.
Okay, back to you, Tamara.
Thank you, Randy, and thank all of you for sharing your introductions. I recognize several names. Some of you have met, some of you haven't. I'm real excited to be here with Randy and you all to share a little bit with you about the Certified Performance Excellence Champion Program. You might be thinking, well, what do we mean by Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion? And you're going to learn more about that as we go through a handful of slides today. I do want to let you know we welcome questions. So at any point, if you've got a question, Hannah is with us and she'll help monitor the chat, but just go ahead and ask your question. We want this to be a discussion whenever it needs to be a discussion. I feel like I can align with several of you based on the brief introductions. Matter of fact, I know that I have benchmarked with a couple of you, Bronson Health for one, and I think there was another one I think I probably benchmarked years ago, and that's because I was probably doing similar roles to some of you. I worked in an organization for a number of years and continue to work for organizations that pursue excellence. And many times, whether you're pursuing the Baldrige Award or you're just incorporating an excellence plan. I don't know why I said just, because that's an enormous task. There are many, many projects associated with that. And while most any strong leader, regardless of the organization or where they are on that journey, will support that excellence is really everyone's role, not that many organizations have figured out how to really enable and equip people in the organization to assume that role, grasp that role, and move forward. And so what we have found and discovered through both my experience, Randy's experience, and others is that to have a champion that is equipped and knowledgeable and has tools and resources that span the systems of strategy and excellence actually is the ticket to equip an organization to actually enable everyone in the organization to move forward. So that's what the Certified Performance Excellence Champion is and kind of the mindset behind it. We're going to spend the next several minutes sharing some information about the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion program and some of the specific content that will help prepare you. So we're going to move forward. And again, I just want to remind you, if you have questions or comments, feel free to go ahead and jump in with them if the timing is right for you. So this slide here just goes into a little bit more detail about what is a Baldrige Certified Performance Excellence Champion. So there's a description here, and I kind of want to zero in on a few things there. It is a certification that is conferred by the Baldrige Foundation. So that's the Baldrige term in there, the first bullet. The second one, what I want to call out, is the Certified Performance Excellence Champion, upon completion of this course and meeting the requirements for certification, has the tools and knowledge and some resources to support their role as a leader, as a role model, and as a promoter of excellence throughout their organization, and truly a partner within their organization. Many of you already feel that role, and we feel like this will just help you take it up a few notches to be even more successful. And that's our intention. So who should seek certification? Certification is ideal for a number of people. We've highlighted some that would definitely benefit from seeking the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion certification. Leaders, even if your formal job responsibility doesn't have the term excellence or quality or Baldrige tied to it, but leaders that want to find a sustainable way to align and integrate the key efforts of their organization so that you can achieve not only tangible results, but have been able to integrate things to a point where you can sustain those and continue to achieve those very tangible, important results. Others is a way to looking for ways to build resiliency and sustainability into your excellence journey. I'm using a lot of words that we toss around a lot, but we believe that we have found, and feedback from our pilot course has demonstrated to us, that we do believe that by integrating the approach to strategy with excellence truly does build in to your operations resiliency and sustainability. And we want to share that with you all. There's also others that would certainly benefit from seeking certification as a Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion. These are just a few. What would a Performance Excellence Champion be able to do? I've mentioned integrating strategy, management, and performance excellence systems, which is absolutely foundational to the course and the certification. Being able to embed excellence, so it's not a project, it's not an initiative necessarily, it may be those things, but more importantly, it's embedded into your strategy management calendar. And that's a concept that those of you that have completed the strategy management performance systems curriculum and certification will recognize. For others, you will read about it in the manual that supports the course. Again, building resiliency into your Baldrige journey. Now, this is not a course to write a Baldrige application or win a Baldrige national or state award or other Baldrige-like organizations. I'm not saying that it would support some of those efforts. It certainly aligns with that. It's not examiner training. It's providing Baldrige based tools and strategy tools to support your excellence journey. Many of those are based on the Baldrige criteria, which is our nation's standard for excellence. The key item, and this is the one we're very proud of, that tangible deliverable for those that complete the 10 module curriculum, is that each participant develops throughout the 10 module course their own custom performance excellence plan specific to your organization. So you walk away with a vetted, practiced, custom performance excellence plan that you have created with the help of your colleagues as well as your coach. At the end of 10 weeks, you have a plan that you can move forward, present to your senior leaders, and deploy. So we believe that's what sets this course apart from some other types of courses, and we believe it's one of the biggest advantages. Now, that plan is made up of a lot of different parts. I'm sharing with you here just a couple or a handful that align with the strategy management performance system and the knowledge and skills that we have added to that through the Baldrige Performance Excellence certification curriculum. And that is the tool and techniques and templates for scenario planning. You'll recognize that terminology. It's scenario planning at a very, very intentional and methodical way. customer value proposition, and we take this to the customer and all the stakeholders. And so it's a very, very multi-step process. It's not a single activity, and it serves as a foundation for the custom excellence plan for each participant. A variety of assessments unique to your organization and the focus of your plan, toward the creation and the understanding and the integration of a strategy map, your excellence plan, and those objectives, if you will, with a strategy map, as well as a formal and informal communication plan, very detailed, and the strategy management calendar that I mentioned earlier. So a lot of different pieces in that custom excellence plan that you will design and develop and learn more about as you go through the 10 modules. So I've mentioned SMPS, or the Strategy Management Performance System, a few times. Some of you are familiar with that and have participated. Some, maybe you're hearing about it for the first time. I'm going to hand off to my colleague Randy to talk a little bit about SMPS and how SMPS and Baldrige Performance Excellence certification became this offering. So Randy?
Thank you, Tamara. We'll advance to the next slide. Tamara and I have been collaborating now for over 5 years. When she was with the Tennessee program, I was invited down to make a presentation, and Tamara and I hit it off, and we very quickly both recognized that the intersections of strategy management and performance excellence are just very concrete once you stop and think about it. So we'll say a little bit more about the history as we go. But in terms of the strategy management system here, this is a generic system. We call it the Strategy Management Performance System, but this is really a generic strategy management system that contains these 6 phases. And anyone that's done strategy work, you'll recognize them. I'm not going to go into detail here on each one of those right now, but this is the high level way we think about strategy. Next slide. And all of this really comes from a very rich history. Goes back 2,500 years ago. The Greeks, the Romans, through the military over the years, and then up through ChatGPT last year. So this is what we've drawn the SMPS framework from, is a rich history of strategy that pulls in a lot of the tools and techniques from over the millennia. The next slide. And then what we've done in the course is we built this out, and go ahead, Tamara, if you're just go ahead and build it out. These specific tasks that are involved, one more click, please. And that includes, making sure that stakeholders are involved. But this is what the SMPS course is. I've been doing this for 40 years now, more or less. And it's incorporated in the work that we do with George Washington University, the Army Strategists Association, George Washington University, and now with the Baldrige Foundation. And what we do is look to see where are the intersections of strategy management and the Baldrige framework that Tamara is going to talk about.
So many of you will recognize this. It's had a lot of names over the years. The hockey puck, the honeycomb. It just so many different names. But when I think of Baldrige, this is where my brain goes. It's where a lot of our brains go. So as Randy said, in the last 4 or 5 years, based on that initial conversation in 2019, we have come to realize that there is truly an intersection between the criteria questions contained within the Baldrige Excellence Framework and the SMPS model. And so for those of you that are not familiar with this, these blue shapes, the 6 that you see here, as well as the banner there at the bottom, measurement, analysis, and knowledge management, recognize the categories or chapters, if you will, of the Baldrige criteria. And I encourage you to look further into it. You'll learn more about that throughout the course. But we wanted to just share with you what we're referencing with the Baldrige Excellence Framework. One of the things, Randy mentioned this, we identified the intersection quite literally. And this was a very painstaking process, but so enriching and very, very valuable. We took the Baldrige criteria at the time, which was the 2021-2022 national criteria for Baldrige, and we literally went through the SMPS, the details he showed you on that wheel, and we found throughout that model and throughout the manual at the time, Strategy in the 21st Century, every point there was an SMPS task that aligned clearly and directly with a question within the Baldrige criteria. We did this and revised it again with the release of the 2023-2024 Baldrige Framework for Excellence, the newer updated criteria. We have this completed for both the full criteria questions, every one of them, like in a complete book, as well as the Baldrige Builder. For many of you, you recognize that. For those of you that don't, it's a complementary kind of a snapshot or almost like a Cliff's Notes version of the Baldrige criteria that you can get from NIST.gov. And we have done a crosswalk for both of those, and you'll hear more and more about the manual that supports the BPEC course, and that's Strategy in the 21st Century, second edition. And so in that second edition, you'll actually find these two crosswalks as part of the appendix. And it's a very important tool throughout our course. I want to share a little bit specific information about the actual programs themselves. We've mentioned SMPS, Strategic Management Performance System certification. It's highly recommended that you complete this, but it is optional. And the key pieces, the key tools and templates and steps and tasks, if you will, out of SMPS that are crucial to success in the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion, we will cover, and you will need to read and study in the Strategy 21st Century Second Edition manual. So it's not required, again, but it is recommended. So by completing that course, the SMPS course, you would be familiar and have practice with that crosswalk that we just mentioned. You have the opportunity to receive certification either through George Washington, as Randy mentioned earlier, or through some industry. So that's stage one, again, optional, recommended. Stage two, which is required in order to qualify for Baldrige Foundation certification, you'll need a specific organization to focus on. Most participants will use their own organization because you're going to get the best benefit there. But we do recognize that sometimes with consultants, we've had consultants say, well, I'm going to use one of my customer organizations. And so that's your choice. But you'll need to have an organization to focus on and complete a shortened version of the Baldrige organizational profile. And for those of you not already familiar with Baldrige, this is kind of a get to know you set of questions that describes in detail the organization, some key pieces of that organization. We've just taken a subset of 11 questions from that organizational profile. And in addition to having a specific organization and completing that profile early on in the 10 module course, you will have that final vetted custom excellence plan presentation that you will present to your colleagues in the class, as well as we typically have Josh and Al from the foundation, Bob Fangmeyer from the Baldrige organization, and the LBL team present to give you feedback, hear your presentation, and once you've successfully completed that, then the Baldrige Foundation will confer your certification. That's the short story of what it takes to become a certified Baldrige Excellence champion. This is just a snapshot of the original organizational profile. We've actually removed 2 of the questions, made them optional. I just forgot to update the slide. So just some basic questions, but like most basic questions, when you start thinking about the answer, you start to challenge your response, and they're intended to create a situation where you can dig a little deeper before you actually submit your answers. This is a really important foundational step. The required materials for the course, there are 2. No surprise here, we've mentioned them both. One is Strategy in the 21st Century Second Edition. It's available via Amazon, and you'll have this slide deck and the links in your email after the course. So you can go check it out and order it at your leisure. And then also the all-important Baldrige criteria for performance excellence to be purchased via the NIST website. So both of those will be in your email later this afternoon or tomorrow. Little bit more detail about the courses themselves. Randy, you want to provide just a high-level summary maybe of SMPS?
Sure. This course is really about helping anyone who goes through it to make sure they're able to have the tools and the techniques to lead a full strategy management process. As I mentioned earlier, this discipline comes from a long, long history. So we want anyone who leaves here to have a good foundational understanding of the principal developments in the field. Strategy is all about thinking strategically and focusing on what best matches up with what makes us special. So that's certainly at the core of the program. There's a great new emphasis throughout the strategy field now on strategic foresight. I know Josh and I've had this conversation about how important foresight is in building resilience, which is at the heart of the updated criterion, Baldrige criterion. We want to get everybody on the same team and aligned. The culture, the operating model, all the initiatives are lined up and make sense. So oftentimes strategy falls apart at execution, and we know a big part of that is making sure the operating model aligns with the strategy and that we cascade the strategy down into the organization. For being agile and being able to adapt, that is at the core of this, and managing performance. And then ultimately, we want to make sure that our organization's purpose drives its governance, governance drives strategy, and strategy drives budgeting. Too oftentimes, those things don't happen in a sequence that really facilitates all that. So that's kind of an overview, Tamara, of what we try to accomplish in the strategy management program.
Thank you, Randy. The instructional objectives for the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion program, there's 6 of them. To integrate your Baldrige and excellence focus, of course, with your strategy management system, your strategy approach, whatever it is currently, you'll be exposed to some tools and some knowledge from SMPS that will probably help fortify whatever you currently are following. Definitely building resilience into those plans, into the programs that you initiate and your outcomes. This is really important and can never be overstated, and that is building additional facilitation competency that helps lead to stakeholder engagement and therefore support of your plan. And I think you probably all recognize how very vital that is, particularly that withstands the changes of the times, changes in the organization. That's a real challenge, and we've identified that as critical. Prepare for challenges that teams often experience when they're trying to meet the Baldrige criteria, but you're trying to, in a very mature and sustainable way, reply to the Baldrige criteria. It drives excellence. Here's what's really important. These last 2, these are my favorite, I have to say, because it kind of there's a culmination of all the others, and that is being able to articulate, to be able to explain and tell, and therefore engage others in your organization's story so people want to be part. And when the people join the part, you've got more momentum, you've got more strength, and you can move forward faster and in a more sustainable way. And my very favorite is we will help you through the curriculum and through your collaboration with others in the course. You'll get practice, and then you will be able to think like a champion, not just when you're reading a plan or developing a plan, but be able to think like a performance excellence champion in all that you do. And that's probably one of my favorite outcomes, right up there with the excellence plan. So let me tell you some real specifics about how the program is designed. So each module, there are 10 of them, include some key parts. There's always a learning objective that's shared the week before. There's a reading assignment in those 2 materials, and I'll flash them up here again in a moment. So a specific learning objective, reading material. There's knowledge sharing that can come from presentations, it can come from actual kind of like lecture, it can come from discussion, and benchmarked practices that we bring in, all geared towards the learning objective for that module. There is skills development. Skills development shows up as one-on-one activities, group activities during the module, sometimes as homework assignments. And then finally, application of that knowledge and skill as part of the building, the foundation, and then the building, and then the refinement of your custom excellence plan. So each week you can expect to be exposed to knowledge. You can expect to have that knowledge incorporated into an activity where you're interacting with others and or getting feedback from me, from Randy, or from your colleagues. And then that knowledge and skills that you've just practiced are, pardon me, rolled into another stage in the development of your custom excellence plan. Just a reminder of what that reading materials are. Knowledge sharing, as I mentioned, is shared through a variety of ways. You'll always see this icon of the brain and the gears anytime it's incoming knowledge, whether it's in communications or in the actual course delivery. Skills development. And as part of that skills development, you will be provided some templates that have been proven to be successful tools in strategy management and performance systems. And we are now incorporating them into the Baldrige Performance Excellence curriculum. And then finally, the application and custom design that we mentioned. So, do you want to be a performance excellence champion? And if the answer is yes, or even if it's maybe, or even if it's I'm not sure yet, we do have program dates coming up, thus this introductory webinar. And I want to encourage you to take a few minutes and ask questions, seek more information. Would love to hear what your questions are. We've tried to provide what we think is helpful information as you make that decision and make the commitment, but we certainly want to open it up to any questions and any thoughts, any even ideas or suggestions around the Baldrige Performance Excellence Champion curriculum and certification. So Randy, I'll toss it back to you or Josh for anything I may have missed or anything that we need to add.
Well, no, go ahead, Josh. Please weigh in.
Yeah, so just as a follow-up to the presentation, I'd just like to reiterate that part of our focus with the Institute for Performance Excellence is creating a variety of Baldrige-based educational opportunities that individuals like yourself can be able to take advantage of. And the partnership that we have with LBL Strategies is critical in this for the purposes that have already been stated in this presentation, but I'll reiterate specifically the intersection between strategy and Baldrige and how we bring all of that together and what that means for you as an individual and the positions that you all are in and how you apply that to your organization, ideally from that top down so it trickles down accordingly, similar to what Tamara was just saying earlier a few slides ago about how you can get that buy-in. And then, of course, your organization as well as yourself can start to think like a champion in that regard. But what we love about this with the Institute for Performance Excellence is that we are all about providing these type of educational opportunities that, as Tamara also mentioned at the beginning, are separate, very different from, for example, your traditional Baldrige examiner training. This is very much the type of certification or course that you would go through that would really help prepare you and other members of your organization to really take on a very holistic approach to integrating strategy and Baldrige within your organization. And we love that here at the Institute for Performance Excellence. We certainly have a lot of tools and resources for our partners inside of here. And we think that this particular certification is a highly critical piece to that puzzle. And so I'm here as a resource for all of you if you want to reach out, but certainly I'll toss it back over to Randall, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents as it relates to that.